Video game high school doesn't want a real problem to have because it means that, you know, people are interested in the content. So I do less promotion, like Ryan was saying, because of a Facebook fan page and Twitter followers, but we work really, really hard on the product itself.
So for me, I feel like YouTube in some sense is similar to IMDb, where you email them something and you get back like this blanket response. Have you ever had one of your videos pulled by YouTube? And if so, what's your relationship like with them, and what's the best way to contact them?
I had the people I work with, they had their video pulled, and it just happened out of nowhere. Their channel was, while they were monetizing before, it just, now they can't monetize. But at VidCon, which is like the best place ever for content creators, I actually met an attorney, a YouTube attorney who deals with just that. You know, if your video has been taken down or unjustly, and YouTube doesn't respond or give you a reason, his job is to sort of help you to fight that battle. So, yeah, I haven't had a video taken down yet.
Neither have we.
I did a parody of a song, the Average Homeboy, this white rapper, and he apparently took offense, so he flagged my video, and then I had another video flagged, and at that point, if you had 2 videos flagged, you lost your whole channel. So I lost my whole channel, and I had to email them and just fight it until it came back. And I had another parody of a Madonna song pulled by Warner Brothers, and I just like wrote them back like, this is a parody, and then I just had to wait 2 weeks, and after 2 weeks, it just went back up. So unless they wanted to, they could have, at that point when I said it's a parody, they could have came back and did something, took me to court, but they just let it go because they're assholes.
I haven't had anything pulled, but my friend had one pulled for no reason and could not get an answer back as to why. And then that means he lost his ad revenue as well, and he's been fighting it. So what he ended up doing is just starting another channel because he could not get a response back. I don't know that there are humans on the other side of those emails. So that was just really frustrating for him because he didn't even know why. There wasn't even a reason. Just one day his videos were gone.
I mean, how scary is that there's this entity that you're making money from, and you can sort of have it pulled and lose that, and you don't really have control of it. How scary is that, and sort of what do you do to get around that?
It's pretty terrifying, but we are in the film industry. So that is kind of our day-to-day job, no matter what you're doing, whether you're actually making movies or television, or, you know, the fact that Dan Garman can get fired off of Community. You know, it can happen anytime. I guess it's the life we chose. So it's terrifying, but I guess you just wait till it happens, hope that it doesn't, and when it does, survive. Make do somehow.
All right, let's continue to get you guys in here. You know, any questions that haven't surfaced yet? You know, we want to continue to feed up. You know, we're coming down to like our last swing here, so we want to make sure that you guys have some questions that are lingering. We haven't touched on something. Ryan, we'll kick it to you.
Initially, how much of planning your content is geared towards the genres and the niches that are really popular on YouTube, whether it's like sci-fi geeks or obviously comedy is really popular, but within that you really look and see what are the most popular channels. I know it's like Nerdist channel, and do you really try and gear towards different channels? Is this something that you're creating content that you're really aware of going in?
Yeah, I just want to, I tend to go for things that I know, and I think that's more organic, and I think the audience will see through if you're like, oh, they're just, you know, if you don't know a certain world, and you try to create for that world, you're not necessarily going to get the views from that world, so I think it is important to just create what you know, and that's what I've done with some of my shows, because I feel like I can speak to that, and I can endlessly create content. But if you want to produce other content that you feel, you know, other people, if you know a nerd or a sci-fi geek who knows that world and you want to say, hey, I'll give you money to produce it and you put it on my channel, I think that's the way that a lot of users and networks are going right now. So I think it all depends, but if you're just trying to make money, then it might not necessarily be the same or work. I've tried doing my own video player, but I think that YouTube right now is just killing the game because you have a subscription base and you have people who constantly just come back, and YouTube is very supportive about spreading the word about your content. Like once you do become a partner, they really try to be accommodating and help you out in the best way that they can. So yeah, I'm pretty loyal to YouTube right now.
Brian, can you also talk about it?
I'd like to be on Hulu, but YouTube's pretty good. I was on MySpace, but MySpace is dead. Funny or Die, but the audience just isn't there on these other websites, and there's not really a way to garner a real community or fan base. So having a real fan base on YouTube is great. And touching back to one of the other questions, I don't know, like if you're worrying about if your channel's gonna go away or something, I think that's why people have their websites, so they can take that fan base and gear them towards other things, like the fan pages and stuff like that. So there's ways to keep your audience even if you lose your YouTube channel.
Just to answer that question, which I've already forgotten. What was it again? I had a good answer though.
No, in terms of staying on YouTube or other platforms.
Yeah, YouTube. I mean, you could go to other networks. I've tried. I started off YouTube and I've gone on other different things, and even Hulu. I worked on a show that was on Hulu and I got picked up at HDNet. But the difference is that it's kind of like going to a park that's empty, setting up a stage, putting on the show and inviting all your friends to go, or going to the state fair and setting up a stage and start doing your show. Like, YouTube is the state fair. That's where everyone already is. So there's no point in going through all the extra work of going to some place by yourself just so you could have your own player because you like it to be a certain dimension when there's no one going to hear you screaming into the void. That sounded really bleak. But my point is YouTube is great. It's a great network. Everybody who's on YouTube is very supportive, even to each other with the other videos. And YouTube itself is, you know, even though they can be terrifying at times, very supportive, and that's just where the audience is. And then to answer your question about what works, I think you need to do what you know, but you also need to know your demographic and what audience is online a lot. If you're going to be making a web series about people who hike the Himalayas, they're not online. They're hiking the Himalayas. So you definitely want to try to find a demographic of people that you know will be spending a lot of time online, whether it's office workers or people who play World of Warcraft or whatever that is. Like, that's just a smart place to go to start.
You know, I would love for you guys to touch on that moment where, you know, you're sort of doing YouTube and these videos out of the passion of it, and then all of a sudden, you know, something changed, you know, and you know, I guess the money's coming in a little bit, and you're just like, you know what, let me take this a little bit serious. Let me push this further. Can you talk about? But can you touch on that moment? You know, yeah.
I think it's been more recently, whereas before I wouldn't really care about, like, if I put content out there, it was just like, whatever, it's the internet, I don't care about these people. And then when more and more people started watching, then I felt more pressure. And I feel more pressure now about what I put out because there are more eyeballs watching, so that really sucks, and I feel more of a responsibility, and I hate that, but I have to remember, like, that this is like why I started in the first place, is because I wanted to create content, create my own content. So more recent.
When we started, my wife, I told her I would give this 6 months because she wanted to know that, like, there would be an end if this wasn't working. And so I said, just give me 6 months, and I'll know pretty soon whether or not, like, it's getting any sort of traction, if this is working at all. And luckily, like a month after we started, PBS got in touch with us, and we didn't sign that contract for over like 6 months later. But that was really lucky that happened. And while we haven't monetized yet, there have been little small wins along the way that have said, okay, we're moving in the right direction. And even though we have a long way ahead of us, it feels like we've gotten farther in the past year of doing these web videos on YouTube than we had individually in the prior like 10 years of making content and not putting it out.
I just made videos that I thought were funny, and luckily other people thought they were funny. But now the algorithm for YouTube has changed, and there's like problems with subscriber modules and stuff, so my views have gone down greatly. So now I'm at a point like I got this signed to this network and my views are so low, and I gotta figure out a way to get hits. So now I'm like, I have to do some crap that I don't want to do, but at the same, because it's like a job now. YouTube's more like a job when there's money involved. So
so the past few years of all of my involvement in YouTube, I've always just kept one foot out. I actually pay my bills doing stunt work and voiceover, so it's a completely different world. Time is when, for fun, I created a show about something I love, which was the Geek Therapy, and then it got bought. And then now we have money to actually make it, and we're getting salaries, and we're getting paid for rewrites and all this other stuff through the Stanley channel. So that was probably the moment where I was like, oh, I love this, but for me that was my creative release. You know, it wasn't something that I took very seriously. I just knew that it was the future, but I knew I wasn't ready for it, and I just knew that this was where the money was, and I didn't know where the money was here yet. But then once that show got licensed, I was like, oh, okay, let's go. I'm ready. So that was probably the moment when I got that email that said Stanley and Geek Therapy in the subject line. I have it saved.
You know, and Stephen, he touched upon the perception. You know, I mean, you know, we've had people say, I mean, this is Los Angeles. A lot of people in the professional filmmaking world, you know, we all have our own perceptions about people that are doing internet content, that are putting stuff up on the web, looking down on it. Can you talk about your own life as time has gone on now? Maybe how the perception has begun to change, or has it begun to change in terms of how people look at what you're doing?
Before it was hard because I did go to Stanford, and a lot of my friends are doctors, lawyers, you know, doing important things, and after graduation at the Christmas party, it'd be like, oh, so you're still making YouTube videos? That's cool. I went to Stanford to make YouTube videos. So now I do feel like, because there's more of an audience, and because I do want to be an artist and a filmmaker, and because, you know, people are acknowledging what I do and sort of respecting what I do, that helps at these parties. So that's what's changed.
Yeah, actually, because I'd made a feature a few years ago, and you know, that's always a hassle and a hustle and a pain in the ass. But when Steve and I started doing this, I had a lot of filmmaker friends who were like, oh wow, you're like a 15-year-old vlogger now? That's what you're doing with your life? And I was like, you know, fuck you. But you know, there's even one guy in particular I remember, he was like, oh, you're losing like your indie cred or like your edge or all this other stuff, you're being kind of a clown online, whatever. And I was like, dude, what, 3 people knew me with that like reputation? Who cares? But subsequently, like, that guy has actually come back to us and like asked us for advice on like how to do what we're doing, and he tweets about us like, oh, like we're his man crushes and all this other weird stuff. I'm like, hey, that's dope, but like, stop. But so yeah, I mean, it's and the whole thing for us is like, yeah, we do like this thing with this show with me and Steve, but like, it's part of like the very beginning, you know what I mean, like planning other stuff, you know. It's just yeah, the start.
I guess I just want to stay there just for a moment. So, you know, because he has a beautiful film, you know, Mr. Sadman, that we've seen, and you know, it's, you know, so can you talk a little bit more about sort of that inner turmoil, you know, that just that taking that leap, you know, just like, I'm really going to do this, and just give us more on that, Patrick.
You got any tissues? Yeah, so like, I've only known Steve for about a couple years. We met at a film festival in 2010, and you know, like, we both, as filmmakers, we were kind of like at a point where we're like, oh, how do we make something work? And we had like an interest in new media and audience building and like just hustling online, and finally we figured out a way to work together and do something like this. But what was the question? Sorry.
Because you yourself are one of these skeptical filmmakers that didn't want to do this, and now you are. So can you go back to those days when you were just like, man, should I really be doing this?
I mean, like I was never really like too skeptical about this stuff. Like when Steve says that he, you know, these filmmakers who are like, oh, I'm better than YouTube. Like I never thought I was better than it. I just never thought about it, you know. And it just kind of hit one day. And for me, like, you know, like I was always interested in what musicians were doing because they're always like one step ahead of the game. And it was like, oh, that whole idea of like you do something consistently. And as a filmmaker, that's really hard to do. Like, how do you churn out something on a weekly basis so you lose so you don't lose relevance? And so, like, you know, we put out something once a week, and it works for us. And so, like, that has actually helped us, because you make a feature film, you disappear for like 8 years. You're a director for 17 days, you know. And you know, like more people have seen our videos than have seen our work combined. Every single film we've made separately, you know. So.
Anyone want to jump in? Jump in? No? You know, as we head into the final segment here, you know, we're talking about monetizing YouTube and creating these videos. Can we also touch on some of the opportunities? I mean, you guys have talked about, you know, PBS opening up. You know, Issa, can you talk about maybe some of the opportunities that you didn't see coming, you know, as you started to post content? Just some of the opportunities that have come your way.
Just being approached by different brands, being approached by, you know, Pharrell Williams, who I listened to in middle school and high school. That was really, really cool. Kickstarter was the biggest surprise because I'm very prideful in terms of asking people for money to do stuff. So even when we were going to do our Kickstarter campaign, people had been contacting me, asking me if they could donate money, but I didn't really feel comfortable just taking money like that. And so that platform, we were only initially going to ask for like $5,000 because honestly, our show is predominantly black, and we were like, black people just don't give money like that. So that really surprised us. We made our goal $30,000, and people gave above and beyond, and we raised over $56,000 to continue episodes. So that was a huge deal for me, and I was like, wow, people really want to see this content, and they're really willing to support it. And so I would have never imagined that, and that was really cool.
In the film and television world, I've been name dropping them all night, so I apologize, but like Jerry Zucker and Stan Lee, Mark Hamill, like incredible people that I idolize, I'm sitting on panels with now because of YouTube. The other thing is that it's also, I'm working on this feature film that I think we're going to be shooting at the end of the year, actually 2 feature films, both of which are using the internet. One is using it in terms of gaining their audience now, so that when we start to do the forewalling at the end, so through videos and through forums and stuff, they're gaining their internet or their audience now for later, basically trying to base it off the Paranormal Activity model, which just did really well, obviously. And then the other one is dabbling with live streaming, actually, which is a little bit off the YouTube topic. But I think the coolest thing that I didn't expect was the people. I mean, you get the trolls, of course. They're just there. They're going to be there, and with their comments of like, take off your shirt. But then what you also get are the people who are so supportive and so loving and are constantly telling you that they love your work, and even better, giving you ideas. They just give them away, and they're so much better than a lot of the things that you thought of yourself. And so that's been an incredible resource. Just today somebody tweeted at me something, and I was like, I'm doing it, thanks. I'm gonna take that. So that to me, more than the money, the chance to be able to express myself and to know that I have people out there who feel the same way. I found my people. I think that's the best gift.
I got my brother on Jimmy Kimmel. That was pretty cool. And just working with other talented people, getting to making lifelong friends that are also YouTubers. I think that's been really cool.
I love his brother Albert. Yeah, you know? Love your brother, Ryan.
So when we were at VidCon, we got to talk to the Double Rainbow guy, also Jimmy Kimmel alum, and we asked him, what's your advice to baby YouTubers? Meaning people that are new, green in the industry.
I'm curious as to what he said.
Yeah.
Like, cry, multiple times. Just a massive. I would say that my advice is, I'm gonna come back to me. I make short videos. That's it. I see short videos. Honestly, I see a lot of people who are premiering videos and premiering shows for the first time, and it's like 12 minutes, and I'm like, who do you think you are that I'm gonna sit up here and watch your 12-minute video and I don't know you? So I think it's really, really helpful to have like less than 4-minute videos. So that's my only advice now.
Yeah, I would just say, like, do your homework and just start making things. Just get started on it, you know? Like, do your homework, meaning, like, yeah, don't make a 15-minute video. Just know what works and then do something that you like.
I posted my first video in 2006, but I never posted content regularly on YouTube, and there's a lot that I didn't really understand, and YouTube put together this YouTube creator playbook that goes into a lot of ideas on like how to be successful on YouTube, from, you know, getting title, like writing the right subject headline, and you know, putting the right tags and researching what tags to put on your videos, and, you know, annotations so you can, you know, link to other videos you've made or back to your channel, and just a lot of there's a lot to YouTube to learn. We did a video a couple weeks ago with Wong Fu Productions, which is these filmmakers, and they have like 1.2 million subscribers on YouTube, and we did an interview, and they, a couple days after we posted it, they retweeted our tweet to the video, and it's like, oh cool, like we started getting, you know, like all these people subscribing and people watching it, and it became our most viewed video. And later I looked at the analytics on YouTube from where this traffic was coming from, and I thought it was probably Twitter, but it wasn't. It was actually, they had liked the video on YouTube, and so because they liked it, like their 1.2 million subscribers saw that they liked it, and so we put a thumbnail that had a picture of them in it, so they clicked on it. And, you know, I never would have known like the power of a like from a channel that has 1 million subscribers before. But so there's a lot to learn about how YouTube works.
Get on a regular schedule, collaborate, find what you like that you think other people will like, and make a bunch of crap.
Yeah, basically what they said, just do it. Just don't get stuck in your head. Don't be worried about, is it good enough? You'll learn as you go, and then find people to use as role models. You can find a video on how to run a camera. You can find a video on how to light a scene. You can find a video on how to edit it. You can find a video to do anything that you need. So go to their channel. They're film school, right? That's basically, no.
It's not that helpful.
It's not that helpful. Don't go to their channel, but find another channel that's more helpful. But just do it, because you'll learn as you go, and then as you start doing it and start putting yourself out there, you'll meet other people who will say, hey, by the way, do this. Hey, by the way, do that. But don't get stuck in your head and then never make it, because then that'll just be the saddest option. But be prepared for the trolls. That's what I would say. Don't read the comments.
All right, I think that does it. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Very informative.